Welcome to Bachelor Party. I'm Juliet Litman. It is a new season. Arie Luyendyk Jr. is the 22nd Bachelor. He's actually 21st because Brad Womack did it twice, but it's 22nd season. And in honor of Arie, and really in honor of Bachelor Nation, this podcast now has its own feed. So you might be listening to a snippet on Channel 33, and if you are, please search for Bachelor Party wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe. That will be the exclusive home of this Bachelor podcast all season long and going forward, including Bachelor Winter Games, which is coming in February. And I couldn't be more excited. It's been a while since we've been in this Bachelor groove. Last time was with Nick Viall, who was much debated beforehand. And now we're with Arie, who can't really be debated because he hasn't been on the show in 5 years. He was the runner-up on Emily Maynard's season. He very famously tracked her down and gave her a journal after he lost, in between her saying no and the After the Final Rose special. And there's just a lot to dig into with Arie, and there's no one better to do so with than with my buddy Ben Higgins. So let's get Ben on the line. For the very first Bachelor Party only episode, there's only a couple of people I could truly have on and feel good about it, and one of them is Ben Higgins, who is currently on the phone. Hi, Ben.
Oh, what's going on?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy January.
Yeah, it's such a special month. It's really nice when you have a month named after you, and the funny part is, I hear people talk, like when I walk around the streets now, people do come up to me and they think it's like funny or clever or cute, and they do say, "Oh, are you excited for January?"
Oh, my God.
Yeah, well, Bachelor Nation, they're everywhere.
So, since we last saw Arie, which was 5 years ago, he has left the race car life behind, and now he is a real estate broker. I looked up his website. He's a realtor in Arizona, like in the Phoenix area. He only had 3 houses listed right now, which makes me a little concerned for Arie's career. However, in his favor, I will say, A, he just got done filming the show, so it's not like he could really be active, and B, traditionally, the big real estate season is like in the spring and the summer. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But doesn't seem like his realtor career is necessarily going that great. But maybe that's just me. I don't want to be too harsh on him. However, I did notice that they stocked the cast with a couple of realtor girls. And I was like, okay, playing to his sweet spot. Like maybe there's a future show there for them if it doesn't work out.
Dating conversation over real estate just sounds exhilarating. I hope that they put these agents on there so they can talk loans and interest rates and hot neighborhoods in Arizona.
Here's the thing, Ben. I do love talking about real estate. I really do. So to me, that is appealing. But I understand maybe it's not for everyone.
Yeah. By the way, you almost just called me Nick. And I
did.
Think the last time we talked, you called me Nick. So
I
this
did?
is becoming a good trend.
I did?
I think so. I think I need to. Yeah, but you definitely slipped up at one point during our last time, like a year ago or whenever that was, and called me Nick. So
it'll make Nick really happy.
I know where I lie.
Come on, Ben. You're the first guest on the Bachelor Party feed. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. This is an honor. I appreciate it. Hey, I think it's. I want to go back to Arie's real estate job. I mean, obviously, the show pumps up any career that the Bachelor Bachelorette's doing. I think everybody out there probably knows that, right? So they're going to make him sound like this big-time real estate agent, which, I mean, I don't know what Arie's financial situation is. I'm sure he's doing fine. He's just based on what I know about him and kind of his past. But I think anytime you're the Bachelor, they're going to make you sound like, the coolest, most powerful person or Bachelorette in the industry. And so I'm not surprised if Arie's just a really decent, good real estate agent in Arizona.
Okay, you're defending him. That's nice.
Well, I mean, I know with me, I think I forget what they promoted me as, probably a software salesman, and I believe they made me sound. Well, actually, you know what? I don't know if they pumped me up at all. I need to get on them about that.
I don't think they did. They did.
Dang it.
They did, but
I could have been.
But you were perfect.
Software executive.
It's true, but they didn't. I think you were just software salesman because I remember Kayla being like, "I sell software too." Remember
right.
on the first night?
That's why I didn't get any job offers after the show.
Oh, come on.
They didn't make me sound that good.
As we know, you have several jobs. Actually, do you want to update people on what you're doing? Just a quick break before we talk about Arie's girls. Tell us what you're up to these days, Ben.
I would absolutely thank you for letting me do this.
You're welcome.
So I'm still actively involved in Humanity and Hope United, which is a nonprofit out of Central America that tries to, at the best of our ability, fight injustices by bringing sustainable change. By working with them over the last year, I felt like my buddies and I had the opportunity to build a company, a for-profit, for-purpose company that could supplement the fundraising efforts for nonprofits that are doing the same thing that Humanity and Hope United are doing. So we started a company called Generous International, and you might know us today as Generous Coffee Company because our first product that we're selling is coffee.
Cool.
We're buying coffee from all over the world, selling it and donating all the profits back to causes that are fighting injustices around the world. And it is going so well. And it is now my full-time job. I am no longer a software salesman.
Congrats,
I am a coffee entrepreneur. So I am so excited. This is as a month ago. I made the switch because I really believe in Generous, and I believe that my life is going to feel a little bit better if I'm doing something that's giving back. And so those are the two major things. And just the final thing is I guess there's two more things I'll just say. That I'm working on. I still do the blog, Mahogany Workplace, and then I am guest hosting a show called First Look on NBC that comes out January 20th. So make sure you check it out because
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I filmed the episodes. They're done. I did a lot of crazy stuff. I did stand-up comedy in front of 350 people here in Denver, which, Juliet, you know me, and I don't think you would think of me as a comedian. So that's okay. Well, you didn't have to validate that. Come on. And so I'm guest hosting that, and we'll see if that goes anywhere. But it's been a really fun, couple months for me.
Nice. That show was previously hosted by Ali Fedotowsky, the Bachelorette, and also Audrina from The Hills. Did you know that?
That's correct. Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, they've and so they just had their last host, who I unfortunately don't remember her name.
Okay.
But she left to pursue some other stuff, and so they asked if I would give it a shot, and I said I would. And so I got I think 3 or 4 episodes that will be airing here starting in January, and I am ecstatic about it. We had a great time.
Nice.
Really good show.
Cool. I'm happy. That's awesome. Good for you. Okay. And now back to Arie. That was the Ben interlude. And now back to the emotional journey for Arie Luyendyk. I want to know how many of the opening conversations on the driveway do you remember from your first night? What's it like? And how much of that information do you absorb? Not a lot. Honestly, I mean, I think it's true that when you do something crazy out of the limo, so if you dress up funky or, if you bring me a gift, I remember those. But honestly, and I saw it with Arie, and I said this yesterday to people, it's almost like you just want to survive it. Sure.
Because it's so intense and there's so much going on. I know you've been there for night one.
Yeah.
There's just so much excitement happening, and then you're nervous that you just really want to survive night one, and you're not going to be your best self. It's really hard to just get comfortable in that evening. Right.
Yeah. And so his strategy, I don't know if you noticed this, was he did the exact same thing with every girl, which is telling them they look beautiful, whatever. They had their conversation, and then he watched them walk away, and then just turn right back around and rinse and repeat. And you know what? It's a strategy. He didn't try to personalize with each girl. And I will say he also wasn't given a ton to work with. Not a lot of gimmicks this season.
That's what I said. I said that too. I realized that, or I just recognized that nobody was doing anything too crazy. I mean, there's a couple fancy cars and a couple little gifts, but yeah, I mean, he didn't. There's a couple good jokes that I thought he failed at responding to because I think we could have seen his sense of humor a little bit. But his strategy, if you asked him, I don't want to speak for him. I'm assuming his strategy going into it, which isn't bad, was I just need to survive, get through, say the same thing, and if it looks funky on TV, who cares? I just need to get to know these women. And I'm assuming as of the next week's episode, we'll see a little bit more of who Arie is. Yeah, he was pretty flat. I was like, oh, okay, this is not a dynamic person. Although maybe he will be, we just haven't gotten to see it yet. Because he has been kind of out of the reality TV mix for a while, which I kind of like. I was happy they sort of broke the cycle of loser from previous season becomes Bachelor or whatever. I think this is actually better. And it did do something that I was hoping would be the case, which is they don't, I'm sure many of these girls, or excuse me, many of these women will be looking forward to Instagram fame after the show. But for now, there's no really absurd job. There's no
Waboom. There's no chicken enthusiast. Like they all work, and like they all have like actual occupations or ways they spend their time, which I'm like a really big fan of, and just makes me. I just feel like it's appropriate for this moment too. So I'm happy that's kind of like how things are trending. But that's not to say that all of the introductions were totally boring, because my favorite was probably Tia, who is the woman from Arkansas that Raven recommended. Very sneaky thing about this show that I don't think it's discussed enough is that like previous contestants will recommend their friends and then they get casted, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all my friends are married, so I couldn't do that. But yes, I think that happens sometimes.
Every time you're on this podcast, you mention that all your friends are married. I just want you to know.
Well, it's an insecurity of mine. So yeah, of course I speak about it. It's one thing I ever talk about.
I totally get it, Ben. All my friends are married and have kids too.
Yeah, so it's great. Well, Arie, I got to ask you, after night one, then, okay, Arie was a little flat. And totally understandable. Like let's not judge the man based on night one at all.
I will judge the man based on night one, but you don't have to. Like, let's just be clear. You're not judging, okay, but I am. And that's totally fine. Carry on.
That's totally fine. Will it be a problem with you if, as of next week, you watch again and he's still flat? Do you think that people will root for him, even if he just doesn't seem to be the charismatic person, the Bachelor that, I think people like? Because I get accused of being too bland, too boring, too flat, and so this is something that I can relate with.
Sure.
Obviously, I don't know if people were really invested in my experience on The Bachelor or not. It felt like it was to me, but I'm also close to it.
Sure.
My question is, if yeah, go ahead.
I would like to quote one of my favorite girls from last night. I keep saying girls. One of my favorite women from last night, Jacqueline. She said to Arie, I don't want to therapize or anything, and for Ben, for you, I also don't want to therapize or anything. However, I feel like for you, the issue is that you were like, you wanted everyone to be happy. You didn't want to piss anyone off. You're a people pleaser. It's a wonderful, lovely quality in a friend. Maybe a little boring for reality TV. I don't think, and by the way, I didn't find your season boring at all, as you know. I don't think Arie is a people pleaser, so I'm not worried about that. I just feel like he might be like holding back who he really is because he has seen this play out a little bit. Because I have get the impression from his time on Emily's season and just from like mild Googling about him, and I avoid spoilers, so it's not like I know a lot, but I don't think he is bland or mild. I think he's like he's like funny and witty and like maybe a little bit of an asshole in like a charming way, as someone who like assholes. But I didn't see any of that last night. I think that's in there and I hope we get it, but I don't know if we're going to. Also, the other thing about Arie that like I always it's funny. I think Americans like value this more than any people from anywhere else. But he speaks two languages, which I think is really cool. Like his family is Dutch, and so he speaks Dutch, and I just think that like adds a twist to who he is. So I hope we get to see all of that. But that didn't really answer your question. But like, will I root for him? I don't know. I of course I want everyone to find love and happiness. So yes, I still will. But it will just be like a more boring season.
I hope that comes out, because I honestly, I appreciate somebody that can be a little more honest or a little more straightforward than I am, because I am complete people pleaser. I wish I wasn't all the time. And so I appreciate somebody that can be a little more straightforward, like your Nicks of the world, who Nick has his own thing. But the one thing Nick doesn't have is he doesn't care if he pisses off everybody in the process.
That's true.
And so I thought that's what made him really great.
Yeah, but his problem was like he would shut down. He wouldn't care if he was pissing you off, but he wouldn't, like at a certain point during his season, he kind of stopped playing the game, and you could just tell he wasn't into it. Yeah.
As you know, Nick as well, like that would be something that
that's Nick.
He does. Like that's half the life. I watched Arie on Good Morning America this morning.
Oh, how was he?
I was hoping that, well, he was good. I mean, he was really likable. He's really nice. He did great. But you can tell he has these like token responses because he's hiding something. Like everything any girl did that Good Morning America asked him about, he was like, oh, that was really cute. She's really beautiful, was like his response to every question they asked about a woman. And I mean, at some point, I hope he gets comfortable enough, or we see him drink enough, or something happens where you see that guard goes down, where like he just starts talking. And you know what? He's going to get criticized no matter what. Trust me. Like, he can try to do this thing as perfect as possible.
Sure.
He's going to get criticized. So I just hope we get to see a little bit more of him being him. Because I actually, from what I hear and what I know about him, people really love the guy. Yeah,
it does seem like it. He seemed like he seems fun. I'm into him. What did you think about his women? Like they seem like a pretty good bunch to me. Like there's a couple that I was like, okay, I want to know more about her. Like I already said, I was really into how Jacqueline said the word therapize, which is not a real word. However, seemed appropriate in the moment. And I also, as someone who doesn't like small talk and like I just want to get into it, I was really into how she was just like immediately like started psychoanalyzing him and like made him talk about his feelings. And that was like also seemed like real Arie, although he had a canned answer. She was like, why do you think this will be different for you than last time? And he's like, well, I think I'm more of a man now and I was a boy back then. I'm like, okay, not a girl, not yet a woman. Thanks, Arie. But I did like that she like kind of got right into it. And I also really like Tia, the woman that Raven recommended, because she came with a small wiener dog because she's from Wiener, Arkansas.
I'm Tia.
Hey.
I'm actually from Wiener, Arkansas.
Okay, I can detect the accent.
Yeah, I know you're gonna have a lot of girls here tonight, and it's gonna be hard to kind of keep track of everyone.
All right.
So I have a little gift.
Where is this gift?
It's right here. It's actually a little wiener.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, please tell me you don't already have a little wiener.
I do not have this.
That was one of the best opening lines. Like, it was really good.
Yeah.
And I wish I think I saw on his Twitter, like, he just totally missed it. Like, he didn't, at the time, he was so nervous, he wasn't even listening. I wish he would have responded. I think Arie's women are absolutely beautiful. I think they're, like you said, there's a lot of them that have very little legitimate jobs or careers or lives outside of this show. And so I think that's a really great dynamic. You've already seen some kind of, like, intense personalities come out and some personalities that I think will cause conflict.
We got to talk about Chelsea. On that note, we need to talk about Chelsea. And my number one thing about Chelsea is not only is she the early villain, she looks like Olivia. Doesn't she look like Olivia?
I mean, just like Olivia. And it's, I mean, yes. I let's talk about it because I have some thoughts.
You've got thoughts, and I want to hear them because you know what they're going for with this girl because she's so much like Olivia.
This is the thing. And I'll say it, and I'll keep saying it. I am not under contract. Like, what you saw in her is what she was doing during the show. I bet if you asked the women that were there on night one, a lot of them would say, yeah, we were confused by why she was saying the things she was saying, why she was so aggressive. There's obviously that personality type that is just like, it is the Olivia personality type. The ones that, they're leaders, they're strong, powerful people. But when they see something, they're going to go and get it, no matter what the cost and no matter what anybody else is thinking around them. Because I don't know if they actually take a second to stop and think about what anybody else is thinking around.
Right.
My confusion is this way every year, and I don't get how they do it because I've lived in this thing, and I see that it's not scripted, is these women or these men who go on the show fall into the same storyline every time. Like, how do you not know that you're the villain? Like, you're the girl that gets them first, and you're the girl that goes and gets them twice in one night. Like, you know what that's going to look like, and you know what that is.
I wish Arie had been like, girl, if you're coming back a second time, you're going to be the villain. It's already been written, basically. Like, that is just the fast track to having people not like you.
Exactly. And I don't understand how that continues to happen year over year over year over year. Like, when it happened this time, I shook my head. I said, well, there we have it. And we know what the story is going to be with Chelsea from here on out.
Yeah. Also, she's a real estate executive assistant per her online bio. So I feel like they're going to get a lot of traction out of that as well. Like, oh, he's in real estate. She's in real estate. She's really pushy to be with him. It's just, it's a lot. Another one of my favorites was Caroline, who let's just play her quote.
I'm excited that it's Arie because he's like obviously such a stud and he's a realtor, so we have that in common. And I grew up around cars. So cute. So hopefully this works out.
Caroline's like, I grew up around cars. Okay, Caroline, so did I. Like, if you walk outside on the street every day and you see a car, does that mean you grew up around cars? Like, what qualifies as growing up around cars? It's just completely ridiculous.
Yeah, my parents had a minivan, so I grew up around cars also. It was a really good life.
Cars and vans for you.
Maybe that was it. Let's credit to maybe being too nervous, maybe not thinking through what they were saying. Juliet, like, if you went back, and I mean, this is the only time I can relate with, is when I walked out of the limo on The Bachelorette. I didn't speak English. Like, I said something that mumbled, and I got nervous, and I shut down, and I walked inside as fast as I could.
What's it like in the limo before you step out? Because when we hear them, like the women like cheersing very loudly to Arie, I'm just like, what do they have to do to be coaxed into doing that? Like that would just seem so unnatural and uncomfortable that I was curious what it's like inside the limo.
I mean, I think at that moment you're so like, so you leave the hotel, you get picked up, and I mean it is very much how you see it, right? So you leave the hotel, you meet everybody downstairs for the first time, and then 5 or 6, I don't know how many, get to the limo. And you drive to the mansion. You pull up at the mansion. I mean, you pull right up, and there's the bachelorette or bachelor. They're standing right there. And then you stop, and, there's an order kind of to it. Is like, the person's closest to the door, get out first. Mm-hmm. But while you're sitting in there, like, it's just a lot of awkward silence. I know with my limo, everybody was kind of talking about how excited they were, if they were nervous or not. For me, I remember I was shaking. Like I was such a wuss. I was shaking. And then, I mean, I guess you cheers when you get there to, hey, here's the 2 bachelorettes for my season. And then you get out and the whole thing begins and you're in the show for the rest of the time.
And then you just like, there's kind of no going back. It's like you step through the looking glass or something.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. Once that limo door opens and your foot hits the wet pavement, there's no going back.
Seriously. It must be like just such a bizarre experience. Like you start out just being like, I'm just Ben. I'm from Indiana. I sell software. And then 10 weeks later, you're Ben. I almost won on The Bachelorette. And now I might be the Bachelor. It was funny hearing, they showed Arie in like the photo shoot from when he's doing like all the publicity photos, and you hear him talking to a producer and he's like, I know my life's going to change. And it's so funny because like, well, first of all, his life already did change because he's been on the show. But then being the Bachelor, like I think people don't understand like how famous you get. Like you go from being just like just a guy to like a legitimately like well-known celebrity. It's pretty weird.
It is really weird. I mean, you hit it spot on. Like you go from being, within 6 months for me, I went from being a software salesman sitting in a cubicle in Denver to The Bachelor and being off The Bachelor and being on Good Morning America.
That's crazy.
And that happened in a blink of an eye. And I mean, for Arie, I think he was announced as The Bachelor, pretty close to when they started filming. And so his life changed dramatically right away. Now, he had already been on the show, but he, kind of stepped away from it for a while. And I'm sure it was a piece of his life.
The Bachelor's way more popular now than it was when he was on Emily's season. Like, it's just like, the internet has changed. The way people consume the show has changed. Like, he didn't even have the option to like do sponsored Instagram posts when he was just Arie who came in second. Now it's like, he doesn't even have to leave his house to make $50,000, You just post this on Instagram and you're good.
I mean, listen to this. This is crazy. This hit me just last week. The top Google searches for 2017 came out. Mm-hmm. And guess what the number 2 most Googled relationship was?
Ben and Lauren?
Ben and Lauren.
How
wild is that?
That's crazy. Well, you guys broke up last year, so it was in the news.
Yeah, but still, that gives you an idea of how intense your life gets. Like, there's no faking the fact that you do get recognized and known, and that for at least a period of time you are famous and everybody dies. Because if Google is putting you as a top search at all, like something's happened in your life to make it weird.
Yeah, I hear you. Speaking of Ben and Lauren, there were 4 Laurens last night on this episode.
Yeah,
one of them being a Lauren B. A, did that give you like PTSD flashbacks? And B, how do you sorry, you don't need to answer that. How are you doing with Lauren? Do you guys speak?
So A, I'll say about the Laurens. Yes, there's a lot of them. I think there's a lot on my season as well. There was probably 3.
You had 3, yeah.
Yeah.
This is 4. 4 Laurens. That's a lot.
It's a lot. Lauren B has some big shoes to fill on this season.
Nice.
And I think, yes, it was weird to see. And of course, like, it's one of those moments that like your mind starts to flash back and you get, you go through the whole, roller coaster of emotions, thinking back to what that first night was. And how that whole experience played out for me. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, I did have a little bit of a moment when I watched it last night where I was like, dang, like, this is weird. It kind of sucks. But but she has some big shoes to fill. So I'm excited. I'm rooting for Lauren B.
We didn't get a lot from the Laurens, other than the fact that they are 4 of them. That's kind of like all that we got. There's not a lot of other Lauren facts. Although I will say Lauren B is quite pretty. I thought she was nice looking.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Not surprised. And then how are Lauren and I doing? I mean, I think we're great. We don't keep in contact.
That's natural.
I don't have
exes who still speak. It's just, come on, that's ridiculous. And you're not really over each other. Exes shouldn't talk. You break up, you move on.
I think that would be my problem. Is like if I kept talking or if we kept in communication. Anytime you date somebody, when you keep doing that, like it just keeps pulling you back in. And so we don't speak. I mean, I don't think we wouldn't. Like I think sometimes she gets mail sent here, and so sometimes I have to text her and be like, "Hey, I got this going your way." But we're on fine terms, in my opinion. I don't think this. I mean, you'd have to ask her on her side, but for me, I hope life is just full of great things.
Okay, great. That's lovely. That's really lovely.
Yeah, that's a really good PC answer, but it is honestly, I mean, how I feel at this point.
Okay. Did you have any other women that stood out to you, or is you like, oh yes, I want to know more about her?
Yeah, I made a top 3 list of women that I was really out, and all 3 went home last night.
Oh my god!
Actually, no. 2 of the 3 went home last night.
Who were they?
So one was Brittany.
Okay.
She was the one that had the first kiss with Arie.
Yes. They drove like the Hot Wheels together, and then they had the kiss. Right?
I thought she was absolutely gorgeous. Like stunning. And I was like, okay, this girl, she's gonna be around a while. Then the next one, and I don't have her name on me right now, but it's the one whose father had met Arie and who got let go, and they kind of did so that was the other one. And then the final one was the lady that owns the Indian restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought those 3 really stood out to me. I mean, honestly, I think he has a really beautiful group of girls who seem interesting and engaging. But those 3 were the ones I really liked, and then 2 of them went home. So it just makes me more confused on the whole situation.
I want to tell you something about Brittany, who you really liked. On her bio, she says, if lunch of 3 people alive or dead, she selected Beyonce, of course, wonderful, Hillary Clinton, cool, progressive, and Chris Evans. If she's interested in Chris Evans, I think she could be interested in Ben Higgins. So I don't want you to lose all hope. I feel like maybe we should try to get you and Brittany in a room together.
I mean, okay. Let's pull back for a second. When I say they were interesting to me, it means I'm a fan and I'm going, okay, I can see this. I can see something here. But I'm currently good. I don't need to be set up right now, Juliet.
Are you dating someone? Is that what you're saying?
I've gone actually. I think I said this about a month ago. I have gone on more dates than I ever have, and so I can't. I'm not going to speak to am I exclusive or not. But
wow,
I'm getting myself back out there.
Okay, cool, good job for it by you.
Good question.
You opened the door for that one. I'm sorry, I had to walk through it.
You should walk through it. I have nothing to hide or be ashamed of. I think it's a big deal to just. I said this the other day to my friend Ashley Iconetti, and I was saying, it was weird, and I couldn't figure out why for so long it felt so wrong for me to date. And at some point, sometimes it still does, because I think I was in a relationship for so long, I put up these walls and these boundaries to where I didn't want to cross because I wanted a successful relationship. Mm-hmm. And so it took me a while to realize and recognize that I can date again, and I shouldn't be ashamed of that, or I shouldn't feel bad about dating anybody.
Sure.
And so it just took me a while. And so here recently I feel like I've got my mojo back. I'm trying. Okay,
great. That's great. I want to throw out some predictions for you, and then you can let me know what you think. I think that I don't know who's going to be winner, but I have a really positive feeling about Caroline, who grew up around cars. I just feel like she's going to go far. I don't know if she wins, but I just got a really positive vibe from her last night. I think she's top 4. And then I want to say I think Tia, Raven's friend, I think she's going to be the next Bachelorette. People are really into her. She seems really likable. I don't see her getting into drama in a bad way. And she's got the Raven glow, who people also liked her. And I just think Tia she kind of looks a little bit like JoJo to me, a tiny bit. And I just see her being the Bachelorette. So that's my prediction.
So Carol, remind me who Caroline is. Sorry, I don't.
Don't worry.
remember.
It's so hard to keep track of on the first night. There's 29 women. We're meeting 29 new friends. I mean, how can we keep track? Caroline is from Massachusetts. She's a realtor. And I believe she said that she grew up around cars, the aforementioned, which I just can't get over.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to look her up right now as we're talking.
Okay, great. I'm just saying, like,
okay, she goes far. I think she definitely goes far.
Yeah.
I do recognize her now.
And then we also know Becca M., who had this short pixie haircut. There's going to be drama with her, and we know because they've been withholding her age. So presumably she's quite young. And she's the only one whose age we didn't get to see. She's the nanny, and I bet she goes far as well because they're setting her up to be a plot point.
I mean, she can't be that young, right? I mean, there's an age restriction here. The youngest she can be is, what, 21?
21, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, she can't be super young.
I also really liked
Yeah.
I liked Kendall, who's really into taxidermy and plays the guitar, or maybe it's the ukulele. Yeah, I liked her. However, I think she's too gimmicky. I give her 3 episodes maximum, but I did like her quite a bit. And I'm also concerned about Crystal, who's from San Diego and works with the homeless. She seems like she's got a lot of heart and very earnest, and I don't think it's going to go well for her.
That was a really good sentence. She has a lot of heart. She's just earnest, and it's not going to go well for her.
I just don't think it's going to. I'm sorry, girl. I'm rooting for you. But I think she's too nice for Arie. I think Arie needs a little zest, and he needs a little edge.
Okay, so let me ask you then. One of the fiery ones that we know because of the preview, Bibiana.
Yes.
Beautiful, confident, and fiery. What do you think's going to happen there?
I liked Bibiana a lot. I'm going to be honest. Bibiana's 30. I'm older than 30. I don't consider her old. That is ancient in Bachelor years, and especially for women. So I just don't think it's going to work out for her.
Okay. Well, hey, I do want to add somebody here. I'm re-looking through pictures of Tia now on The Bachelor, and she is gorgeous. I definitely would agree. She is Bachelorette potential, especially with her confidence getting out of the limo and making that joke. Like
100%.
She has some special stuff coming her way.
Caitlin having the really sexual line for when she got out of the limo really worked well for her. She said to Chris Soules, like, do you want to plow me or something like that? Because he was a farmer. Yeah. And that paid dividends for her. And I think it could be the same for Tia. I'm feeling very bullish on her.
I mean, look at how well it did for Caitlin. Caitlin is, arguably, I think, one of the most entertaining and best bachelorettes we've ever had. And so, I mean, Caitlin showed her personality early on. So did Tia. Mm-hmm. And then I think it, came over and, went to her being a bachelorette. And so I would love to see that if she is, who she showed herself to be on night one.
Yeah. And I don't count JoJo's just because she's Texan and Texas is separate. We haven't really had a Southern bachelorette since Emily, basically. So I'd love to see it. Just throwing it out there.
No, I'm all about it. I'm all about it.
I guess what I'm saying is I'm giving Tia my first impression rose. I hope she accepts it.
I think I would be too. I mean, other than the 3 women I mentioned who, didn't even get a rose, I would have gave Tia the first impression rose. I wonder if Arie really did just completely miss her personality on night one. And so she didn't stand out to him at all. And he thought her joke was just maybe crude and weird instead of witty and funny.
Yeah, maybe
and so
he
wasn't impressed.
He just heard Wiener. He had cameras on him and just sort of freaked out.
Yeah.
I think yeah, totally. I think Chelsea got the first impression rose solely because her strategy worked off. She got the most FaceTime. He probably couldn't remember anyone else, and she was so dominating that he's like, okay, you can have this rose, whatever. It's not like a binding agreement, not a binding contract. So.
I mean, I did it with Olivia, right? Olivia got my first impression because she did stand out. She was beautiful. She was confident. She encouraged me on night one, which is a big deal. So, and then, that I started to understand more of who she was. But that personality type really does stand out on night one. Yeah.
Yeah, you can really tell. And it makes sense.
Definitely.
Ben, thank you so much for being my first guest on Bachelor Party on its own feed. It really means a lot to me.
Are you kidding me? I hope you would ask me to come back this year.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I want to do it in person. It's always better in person. So when you're in LA, you need to let me know, and we'll make it work.
Okay. Hey, you're doing great. Thanks, Juliet. It's always fun to talk to you, and we will keep talking Bachelor. The one good thing, and I hope I show you this, is the longer I get out of the Bachelor world, and the less people really care about what I'm doing or who I am, I get a little bit more
you're looser.
comfortable in what I'm. I'm looser. So maybe we can talk a little bit, more openly from here on out.
All right. I would love to. So you gotta come in and we'll make it happen.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Ben. Everyone check out Generous Coffee and follow Ben on Instagram. Why not, right?
Please buy coffee. All profits give back. It's great coffee, too. Thank you for the shout-out.
Bye, Ben. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks again to my buddy Ben Higgins. He's always the best. We'd like to call him the Len Kuiper Jr. of The Bachelor. This podcast, Bachelor Party, will be going live on Monday nights going forward. Next week, I will have the sports gal with me. And in weeks to come, there will be other Bachelor alums, Ringer friends, former colleagues, and so many more people, I hope, that will be on the show. So thanks again for listening. Bachelor Party couldn't be happier to have its own feed. I hope you've subscribed. If you haven't, please do so now. I'll be back again next week.